Whether you've been part of the technology sector for one day or for a few years, you'll have seen the flags, the shirts, the posters, many other things calling out attitude. But do you really know what our attitude is and why it's so important to us? A lot of times when we ask team members what attitude means to them, they talk about having a positive attitude, doing their best. That's part of it, but it's far from the whole story. Attitude is all about culture in action and what we want to show the world when we need it the most. One thing about culture, it's always working, either for you or against you. To understand how attitude became what it is today in the sector, let's go back to April of 2016 for some inspiration.
It's Barry, who had the hot hand from 3 in the first half. They're going to have to do something from the outside now. It's Page off balance, puts it over. Impossible! How did he do that? Ties the game with 4.7 seconds to go. How about that kid? They beat him up during the season with his inability to make threes. He kept his composure. This time, the little guy with some major onions to tie this thing up. Incredible. Got away from Ochefu, then had to adjust with Archie Diacono coming after him.
You'd love to get into one of the Speed Demons' hands, and that would be...
Look at Ochefu just going ahead. There's a, hey, I did it, so I'll clean it up.
Well, I could use him around my house. Hopefully he'll be a high-price mopper someday.
4.7 seconds. Villanova trying to go length of the court with Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt.
Jenkins
gives it to Jenkins for the championship. Champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer.
So I got to be honest with everyone, I'm a huge Villanova fan. And I must have watched that play 1,000 times in the weeks and months after that game. But as I kept watching it, I started to see it a little bit differently. If you ask most people about that play, they say it's clutch, it's a great example of teamwork. It definitely is those things, but when you know a little bit more about the team and the people involved in it, it becomes something more than just a play. After North Carolina hit their amazing shot to tie the game, there were 4.7 seconds on the clock. 4.7 seconds for a team to show the world who they wanted to be when it counted the most. Coach Jay Wright is now a 2-time national champion and Basketball Hall of Famer. But on that night, with 4.7 seconds left, he was a coach with a reputation for not being able to win the big one. His teams had struggled in the tournament in the years prior and had become almost an annual disappointment. But although they didn't always get the results they wanted in the years leading up to this game, you could tell something was different. Something was changing. It was the culture of the program, and they branded it attitude. All the players and coaches started to talk about the same things in every pregame or postgame interview. We don't get down on ourselves when we make a mistake. We pay attention to detail. We're selfless. We play for each other, not for ourselves. We're confident in the big moment. In almost every conversation, one of them would say, attitude says, and then talk about one of those points. The culture was building. Then when it all mattered the most, with 4.7 seconds left, they put their culture into action. They said, we don't get down on ourselves and we pay attention to detail. Daniel Ochefu made the worst play of his life as he dove for the ball and gave Carolina an open 3-point shot. But he didn't get down on himself. He picked himself up, got ready for the next play. Then he paid attention to detail. Remember the mop? The announcers joked about it, but he knew that's where his teammate was going to be running for the last play and didn't want him to slip and miss the chance to win the game. That teammate was Ryan Arcidiacono. His father played football for Villanova. His mother went to Villanova too. And all Ryan ever wanted to do was play basketball for Nova. So we all know how he felt with 4.7 seconds left. We all played when we were kids and pretended to hit the game-winning home run in the bottom of the ninth in Game 7 of the World Series, or score the World Cup winning goal, or shred a guitar solo center stage at Madison Square Garden. For Archie, it was hitting the shot that would win the national championship for Villanova. And while none of us get the chance to do what we dreamed of as a kid, he actually had that dream literally in his hands. He had the ball in front of 80,000 live and millions watching at home. And when he came down the court, as everyone rose to their feet, he passed it to an open teammate. You remember that their attitude says, we're selfless. We play for each other. It also says that we need to be confident in the big moment, and Chris Jenkins, who hit that shot, was just that. He was interviewed after the game, and when asked if he thought the shot was going in when it left his hand, he very calmly said, I think every shot I take is going in. Confidence was not an issue for him. So Villanova put their culture into action with 4.7 seconds when they needed it the most. But what does that mean to us? Well, we have 4.7 seconds left a lot. Whether it's a startup that has to be seamless to the customer, a struggling account we need to turn around, or just keeping up with aggressive growth targets. We always need to perform. So a few years ago, the tech leadership team started asking ourselves, if we had 4.7 seconds left on the clock, what would we want the world to see? And the great news is we had a starting point. With head, heart, and guts and our 6 leadership attributes, the company had given us a great foundation for how we wanted to act and lead. But we decided that we wanted to go deeper, and over time developed our 8 attitude attributes that build upon that foundation of head, heart, and guts. We committed to making these attributes part of what we do every day, and even though we know we'll never be perfect, we also know that the more committed we are to these attributes, the stronger our team and results will be. So let's hear from some of our team members about what attitude means to them and how it shows up in what they do every day.
One of the foundational pillars of attitude is the guts leadership attribute. And one behavior that makes up the guts attribute is being able to confront the brutal facts. We have to own our respective areas from end to end, the good and the not so ideal situations. If there's an unfavorable situation in your operation, you have to address it. Raise those issues early to the appropriate parties. As leaders, we have to stay vigilant. We have to understand what's happening around us at all times. This will take asking detailed questions. Also, ensuring you have the proper mechanisms in place to identify potential risk. And once you've identified those risks, be vocal about the concerns. Don't work in a silo in fear of penalty. Have guts and move with a true sense of urgency to resolve those concerns. That's attitude. And as leaders, it starts with you.
One of the attributes that make up our attitude is judging yourself on your performance, not the reaction that others have to it, good or bad. Put another way, we can say that we need to be honest with ourselves about the job we're doing for our team and for our customers. We've probably all dealt with people in the past that were just not happy whatever we did. Maybe it's a customer who said, I know you exceeded all KPIs while being within budget, but you should have been able to accomplish that with half the staff you have. Or maybe you've had a team member who has been treated fairly and with respect, but didn't like the message they were given. In cases like this, if we can look in the mirror and say we've done the right thing, we should see it as a success and not let the reaction of others determine how we or our team feel. We need to celebrate successes when we accomplish them and be able to pat ourselves on the back when it's due. We also need to be honest with ourselves when we don't do a good job. A lot of times we may feel that if our customer or our team isn't complaining, we must be doing everything right. But that's not the case at all. What should matter is our assessment of how we're doing as a site, shift, or leader based on results and not feedback we receive. Don't kid yourself into thinking you had a great day just because someone hasn't complained. Live attitude and remember to judge yourself based on your performance and not the reaction others have to it.
I'm here today to talk to you about attitude. Specifically, trust, engage, hold yourself and your teams accountable. At our sites, engagement and accountability really drive the operation. This is done by setting a very clear expectation, including the why we're doing it, what we're going to do, and how we're going to get it done. Then we really look at this in 3 expectations. This is between the associate and the leader, the associate to the associate, and then the associate back to the leader. This way, we've set a very clear goal and expectation for everyone that what their role is and what they need to do. Once the expectation has been set, we conversely make sure that everyone is clear and understands what the consequences are for those expectations that are not met. This allows them to trust each other and their team as they move forward to achieve their goals. Then we can have check-ins rather than micromanage through the process. This has really shown itself and its success as we've gone through our quarter ends. Not even a year ago, our sites would work until almost midnight during those quarter ends. Now, as a result of trusting and engaging our teams, the last 2 quarter ends, which have been our biggest, we've seen our operation close down and finish by 5 p.m. So remember, take care of your associates, trust them, engage them, and hold them accountable, and you too will have this kind of success.
Treating your associates like you would your family means understanding that people are our biggest assets, and without them, we would not be successful. Because of the complex nature of our business, we often spend more time at work than we do with our actual families. Because of this, leaders need to create a culture that is inclusive of all and ensures that everyone feels welcome. The work environment needs to be one that is open and inviting, allowing everyone to feel comfortable to share their thoughts, opinions, and ideas, but also an environment that allows for all of our associates to be creative and engaged to help drive our business forward. When all of these things work together, you truly have a culture that embodies what attitude is all about.
I'm here to talk to you today about attitude, specifically Ops Owns Everything. Now, attitude is part of our head, heart, and guts leadership. Specifically, Ops Owns Everything really falls within our head leadership, which is being results-oriented and leveraging strengths. Now, it's easy to think that this only has something to do with operations, but in reality, it's a grounding point for everything we do in attitude, and really everything we do to deliver results for our customers. Ops Owns Everything means you, as a leader, can define your own fate. It's up to you to ensure that you, your teams, and your associates have what they need to be successful. It often requires you to make quick decisions and have a great sense of urgency. Most importantly, you're not to be a victim. Things don't happen to you. We get the opportunity to act when things happen to us as a team. That's the distinct difference there. What's important about that is we take all the available information. We have all the barriers that are potentially keeping us from our goals, and we pivot. We pivot quickly. We have the customer's best interest in mind, and we drive results. Having that singular focus on where we're going by taking in everything that both our internal and external teams are giving us is an essential part of Ops Owns Everything. And Ops Owns Everything, in turn, is an essential part of attitude. And it's an essential part of all the things we do to delight our customers here at North America Tech.
A couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to respond to a large telecom RFP, but we were not able to put a win on the board. We never allowed ourselves to get down, and on the contrary, we used this as an opportunity to build a stronger team that focused on improving and leveraging our strength to develop a better solution, an example of our culture in action. The most recent opportunity challenged the team to deliver a flagship reverse operation for Verizon. During this pursuit, the team enhanced the solution several times by incorporating customer feedback, deploying new technologies, and finding ways to increase efficiencies. The team challenged each other every step of the way to exceed the customer's expectations. We ultimately delivered not just a cutting-edge solution for the reverse business, but secured the forward operation too, putting 2 wins on the board for DHL. This is an example of how relentlessly pursuing continuous improvement shows our attitude and makes us together unstoppable.
Your commercial agreement, in its simplest terms, is your rule book. It tells you when to start, how to play the game, the rights and obligations, how to resolve disputes, and when it ends. Understanding your commercial agreement can seem like a daunting task. All of the legal mumbo-jumbo, amendments, addendums, and cross-references can be pretty confusing. Fortunately, we have CCM to help keep us straight. But no matter how intimidating it may seem, knowing your commercial agreement is essential. So read your rulebook. Take the time, put yourself in the right frame of mind, read and comprehend. The golf rulebook is 168 pages, baseball 192 pages, football 241. Your rulebook is much shorter. You've got this. And once you've mastered the rules, you'll be in position to defend the fort. To me, defending the fort is making sure your customer is held responsible for its end of the deal. When I read contracts, it's evident that DHL has a lot more responsibility than our customer. It's true. So defending the fort boils down to knowing what areas of the agreement apply. So what does it look like to defend the fort? Here are a few examples. Stay within your scope of work. Yes, you aim to delight your customer. But if you're asked to do more than what's in the agreement, it could be detrimental. Hold them to deliverables necessary for you to be successful. For example, if you need a forecast to plan labor, get it. But in my mind, the single most important customer obligation is to pay us, and to pay us on time. Past due receivables cost our sector hundreds of thousands of dollars. It doesn't have to be that way if we simply hold our customer to their end of the deal. In summary, knowing your commercial agreements and defending the fort is not a heroic act, but it does require action on your part to understand the rule book and the courage to hold your customer to it.
When I think about what attitude means and the 8 behaviors that we have focused on to represent attitude and action, the one that stands out for me the most is lead, don't chase, because it means so many things. First of all, it means we are proactively challenging all aspects of our current performance, never being completely satisfied with where we are, whether that be quality, service, efficiencies, or how we are training and treating our people. It means our customers don't need to push us to fix or improve because we're already pushing ourselves to the next level, and that we are pushing our customers for action when we need their help as well. It means we're in control. We understand the issues, supported by facts, and either have plans to fix them or are actively and urgently working these plans and will execute them with pace. And finally, it means we are doing something every single day to improve tomorrow. We aren't just shipping today's volume or performing today's services. We are all thinking about how we make tomorrow, the next day, the next week, and next month even better for all concerned: DHL, our customers, and our people. With this type of culture and environment, progress is exponentially faster, and we are truly leading instead of being chased, which is the key to long-term customer retention, satisfaction, and growth. And that's real attitude in action.
Those are a few examples of how we work to put our culture into action. And I would ask you all to think about attitude and how you can do that in the role you play in the sector. Because now we know that with 4.7 seconds left, we are the technology sector. We are attitude, and we are together unstoppable.